Hey, how are you guys? This is Harris Marin, and in this video, I want to show you guys how to be an incredible podcast host and get more people to show up for your podcasting. So like I said, this channel is going to be covering all podcasting. If that is something you're interested in, check the links down below, jump on my newsletter. I promise you, you're not going to regret it. Now, a lot of podcast hosts have one major problem, along with getting popularity, which I'm going to be creating a video for. But the second part is having your guest show up. I've been a guest on about 150 podcasts. I've recorded myself on the Brutally Honest podcast, about 130 podcasts, and continuing to grow that. Now, I want to share with you guys the single secret that literally no podcast host is taking advantage of, and it is crazy to me because it is free. And I'm going to walk you through everything that you need to do in this tutorial. Now, I'm going to be going a little bit quicker than I normally would, but I promise you I'm making sure it is simple enough that you can take this and execute it at a later date, or in this video, you can follow along and you'll have the key to success. But the first question is, why are guests not showing up? Like I said, been on 150 podcasts. I promise you the number one reason why I don't show up is because there is no reminder. Number one. Number two, there's no calendar invite. Those are the two reasons why most guests never show up for a podcast, because it's not their fault. They forgot. It's your job as the podcast host to make sure that your guests have every opportunity to show up and to be prepared. But that's for another episode. We need guests to show up for our shows to provide crazy value and increase our listenership and loyalty of our listeners. So let's jump in here. I'm going to walk you guys through everything you need to know about how to get people to actually show up. And like I said, a free tool on how to do it here. So right off the bat, I am a HubSpot partner in my agency, and I'm not mentioning that because it's important, but because HubSpot actually has an incredible free program that will get you through exactly what you need to know. That way you can start to succeed online. So you're going to go through, you're going to get started for free. There's a link down below if you'd like to use my link when you sign up, but it is 100% free. And if you're not sure why I'm saying that and emphasizing it, they do have premium platforms, but it is a totally free thing here. You're going to go through, you'll just create a free account. And it's so straightforward. Once you're into your account, you're going to be able to see this screen. I have a trial going right now for a different program, but in here, you're going to be able to see contacts, conversations, marketing, sales, services, automations, and reports. The thing that we want to go to is actually going to be under sales, and inside of sales, we're going to want to go to meetings. And this is where the magic happens. You're going to go through, you're going to create a scheduling page, and this is where your client or guest is going to be able to book directly with you. Think about Calendly on steroids. We're going to create a one-to-one because obviously I want to have a one-to-one meeting with the person. So we're going to create a one-to-one. We're going to have a internal name. You're going to go through, fill that out. We're going to have an organizer, a event title, a location, and a description. Now, because I'm on the free version, because I want to show you guys, I'm going to go back and use an existing link that I already have. So you're going to have a one-to-one meeting, right? How long your podcast is. I would give it about an additional 15 minutes. If your show's an hour and 15. If your show's 30 minutes, and just say podcast, meeting, right? If you need more than one meeting, you are going to have to go to a paid platform. No big deal, but you can use the same thing. You can do that for the pre-interview and the actual interview itself. Or if you do a pre-interview right before the actual interview, this is where you could label it pre-interview and interview link. Now you're going to have the organizer, event title. Obviously, it's going to be a guest on XYZ show. Guest on XYZ show. Now the location, I'm going to show you how to do that, but simply click connect in the app, and you're going to be able to use Zoom on here, and it'll generate a new Zoom link for every single podcast. It makes life a million times easier. Next, we have the description, something that your guest may want to know about. And also, if you want to allow people to reschedule, you can give them the option to reschedule or cancel that podcast. Totally up to you whether or not you choose to do it. It would be nice sometimes if, as a guest, something comes up and I need to reschedule on the fly. Sometimes I don't always have the host's phone number. And then a little description. Hey, this is the podcast. Include your show link. Hey, how to go find me. Include how to contact you. Include maybe a phone number. Make sure that there's enough information that the guest can figure out how to get to you, get a hold of you, how they can listen to your show, and how they can engage if they need to. Maybe some social media links. For the sake of this exercise, I'm not going to be going through all this because I would fill it out for myself differently. And then once you hit save, you're going to go through and you're going to go to your scheduling. Now, this is where you can schedule and how you can schedule. Now, obviously, you're not collecting payments, but you want to be able to do a Meet with Harrison or XYZ podcast. In this case, it would be Brutally Honest Podcast. Your duration, right? You could pick out an hour 15, hour 30, hour 45, up to 2 hours or a custom duration. Your time zone, super important. And then your availability. How often should people be able to book a podcast? If you want to do it Mondays and Fridays, you can do Mondays and you can add Fridays here. And you could just set it to remove that. Monday, Friday, 9 to 5, right? Whatever your schedule is for you, that's going to be the best thing to do. And any additional settings. Now, this is where the gold is. You can do it over a period of weeks. You can do... The image doesn't particularly matter how much notice you need. So if you want a day, 7 days, 3 days, a week, whatever that might be, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, I don't recommend. But if you're okay with having a podcast later on the day, maybe 3 or 4 hours to prepare, totally up to you. And buffer time. This I would absolutely max out or get as close to an hour as possible. This is how close podcasts can be booked between each other. And if you're worried about, hey, I don't want 2 podcasts back to back, go through and just select a, 9 a.m. to, let's go 10 a.m., right? Something where they can only book for 1 hour and makes your life easy because you know that there's only going to be one potential area in there. And it'll actually update in real time over here saying, hey, you know what? Maybe you need a notice time or whatever it is that fits your schedule. Go through this. Now, this will link with your calendar, Google, Outlook, I believe even Apple will work with this as well. I would highly suggest using one of those and syncing them up. It'll make your life a million times easier. Date format, also pretty self-explanatory here. And then we're going to go to the last area, which is going to be form. Now, this is where you're going to want to grab as much information as possible. It is obviously locked. First name, last name, email address is more than enough. If you're worried about that not being enough, you can start to get into additional paid properties. You can ask custom questions if you do have a paid account. It does stink that it is behind a CRM suite, but for $25, if you chose to upgrade, you'd get that additional functionality. If you think about it, I believe Calendly is about $12 a month. You can get this for about $25 a month and have a lot more unlocked for a pretty cheap price. Now, depending on where you are, GDPR, you definitely want to prevent people from spamming you or bots crawling it and creating random things for you. You want to be able to submit the form when all fields are pre-populated, totally up to you, and pre-populate with known values. And last but not least, any automation. I love confirmation emails and I love pre-meeting reminders. I will add as many pre-meeting reminders as possible. This is the secret sauce. If you want to schedule somebody on your podcast, you can go through and select how many hours. I recommend 15 minutes before, 1 hour before, and maybe even 3 hours before or the day before, depending on where you're at and how much notice you need or if they forget. If you start to see people dropping off and they're not showing up, it's because you need to go back and tweak these. You can even see what it looks like and include the invite description in your reminder. Now, once you hit save, it'll save that. And if you go back to your meetings tab, granted, if you're on the free, you're only going to have one, but you could copy it to your clipboard and simply plug it in. The beautiful part about this is as you go through, you'll actually be able to see, and I'm just pulling this off screen here, but if I book myself as a first name, right? Give you guys some of my emails here. You can confirm that. It'll go through, right? Your booking is confirmed. It's obviously going to put the HubSpot branding on there because it's free. I will be getting an email in any second now saying, hey, you've been booked by there it is. And if I don't know if you heard that, my phone just went off showing it on my calendar. But also, as you go through, you're going to be able to build a list of contacts. And the only reason why I pulled it off screen is so you guys can't see a contact coming through. But you'll be able to go through and see that person inside your contacts, and you'll actually be able to see all of the information from them, not just the information from that fill out, but also you'll be able to go through any website activity, right? Any information that you want to do, maybe a phone number if you call them up or you email them, right? You can customize a lot of these. There's tons and tons of properties in here. This is not a full HubSpot tutorial. I've already done that, but if you want to, you can see all the information. So you can see when they scheduled the meeting, right? Phone number, company name, any deals that might be associated with them. Remember, it's a CRM, but this is a fantastic and super easy way for you to book more guests, get them to remember to show up, and have it all be centralized. And then this will go into my calendar, which it already has, and it'll go through and show me, hey, you have a podcast with so-and-so, first name, last name, and obviously their phone number is going to be locked on that $25 thing. But if you're really that worried, you could put in a Google link or a Google Doc to that and say, hey, you know what? Fill this out after you book a meeting, and it'll say first name, last name, bio, headshot, all that good stuff. You got to get creative and work around it. I know a lot of podcast hosts don't want to spend a lot of money. This is the solution for you. You can go through, you can avoid spending all of that money, and it has paid features that are going to make your life a million times easier for pennies on the dollar. Like I said, Calendly is like $12.50, depending on what platform you have. This is $25 and has infinitely more functionality. So I hope this video helps. I hope you're going to be a better podcast host. Jump on my newsletter. I'd love to have you. I'm going to share some massive value there. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next YouTube video. Until then,